Live with studios in Midland and Odessa, you're watching CBS7 First Alert News at 9 on the CW West Texas.
It's a hard job to be an administrator. People say there's not enough compensation. We've created a pathway for those that are most talented to say this is a viable option.
Fort Stockton ISD has a new system that allows teachers to earn up to $75,000 for teaching key subjects like mathematics, English, and science. We have more on how this new pay scale coming up in just a few minutes in your education news on CBS7 News at 9. Good evening. Thanks for joining us for CBS7 News on the CW, and thanks for joining us live on the CBS7 YouTube. I'm Alexandra Macia. We start tonight with continuing coverage. The city of Odessa officially awarded a contract to John Beckmeyer to serve as city manager. Beckmeyer currently serves as the director of the Texas GOP. CBS7's Hannah Brock was at the council meeting where his contract was approved. Hannah.
That's right. The contract sets Beckmeyer's salary at $238,000 per year. Beckmeyer was not physically at the meeting, but he did submit a letter accepting the contract and thanking the council. All but one council member voted to award the contract. Councilmember Thompson questioned his qualifications in comparison to other applicants.
We had 51 applications, 4 finalists, and how the 2 consultants jumped him over 4,700 people when he has no qualifications whatsoever.
Beckmeyer will forego his position in the Republican Party on August 8th and begin his city manager position in Odessa on August 10th. Coming up at 10, we'll hear more from Thompson, who is the only council member to vote no. For CBS7 First Alert News, I'm Hannah Brock.
Thanks, Hannah. In 2019, the Permian Basin was named a major hub for sex traffickers. Fast forward to 2023, and the state of Texas has been ranked second in the nation for human trafficking, with 917 cases and 1,702 victims so far this year. This is why the Ernest Cecil Foundation was created. However, without recovery homes here in West Texas, it's difficult for organizations like the Ernest Cecil Foundation to take care of these girls after their traumatic experience. Girls have to travel either to different cities with homes or end up in the juvenile detention center, which can make recovery difficult. So the Ernest Cecil Foundation wants to provide a home, but also a support group for these girls.
It is important to have a home where they can have a mom and a dad, where they can go to counseling and restoration so they can heal from the trauma that they have been through.
Some of the signs you can look for in someone if you're suspicious is they have a child, stopped attending school, has the person had a sudden or dramatic change in behavior, is the person disoriented or confused, or showing signs of mental or physical abuse, does the person have bruises in various stages of healing, is the person living in unsuitable conditions.
During the day, and these girls are sleeping during school. They're not doing well at all, or sometimes they do, and you can't tell. It's hard to do, but it is important for them to keep their eyes open, ask questions.
The Ernest Cecil Foundation will be hosting events the rest of the year to raise money to build a home for girls who have been a part of sex trafficking. And it's time to take a look at weather. Chief Meteorologist Tom Teefer-Teller is here to tell us what we can expect. Tom?
Well, not much of a change in our forecast. Temperature's not quite as hot, it looks like, here over the next few days. Today we saw right at 100 degrees across the Midland Odessa area, 102 in Big Spring. So again, some hot temperatures out there across the area. A little cooler down in the mountain areas into the mid 90s as current temperatures across the area, well, they're starting to cool off there as we are looking at temperatures into the mid to lower 90s right now. As we are looking at those southeasterly winds across the area starting to calm down quite a bit. Your forecasted high temperatures, though, showing a little bit of a cool down as we edge in towards the weekend and into the early part of next week. So again, a little bit of a change that will take. Other than that, a hot, dry forecast is hanging around.
A Midland foodie is a front runner in the National Favorite Chef competition. Lyle started competing against 10,000 people across the country 5 weeks ago. The competition is now down to 1,000 and she's still going strong.
I never dreamt I would get this far.
Midland foodie Linda Louise Lyle is a frontrunner in the National James Beard Foundation Favorite Chef competition that highlights home chefs.
I made it through the last 5 rounds in first place, and I'm now in the quarterfinals and hoping for the big win.
Lyle was anonymously entered. She has 3 weeks left till the finals. Upon moving to Midland 3 years ago, Lyle turned to the online Midland foodie groups to become involved in the community.
Pretty much everybody that I know in Midland, it's because of food.
Her online engagement has opened up a network of fellow Midland foodies.
I've had people walk up to me at the market and go, "You're her. You're Linda Louise Lyle. I know it."
The grand prize is $25,000.
I want to start a scholarship for culinary students in this area. So I want to do at least 2 of those. And then the rest will be for an outdoor kitchen.
Lyle's hours upon hours she dedicates to cooking in the kitchen is much more than just a hobby.
It was a therapy for me, actually, like cooking and creating and just coming up with different ideas and recipes, and I really enjoy it.
And she cooks with a focus on local ingredients.
It's fun to use local, and I think it's important to support local. And we don't eat out much because I love to cook so much, so this is my way of supporting that community also.
Lyle says what she really needs now is votes. So if you'd like to vote for Lyle, you can visit our website at CBS7.com.
We just see it getting bigger and bigger because we're showing that even though we've grown over the last couple years, there's still a need. You know, there's still places that we haven't been able to get to. You know, we want to add more, more volunteers, more food trucks if possible, and serve more kids. And I think the proof of concept has been proven the last couple summers.
This summer has seen an increase in children and families needing help with meals. One organization does just that while also helping people with other opportunities. Rope Youth's Food First summer program provided 9,000 meals last year. This year, 10,000 meals were served. Several organizations throughout the area have helped with Rope's service, including Endeavor Energy and Pioneer Natural Resources. The people who help out with time or resources are proud to serve the community.
It is very, fulfilling because as the number grows, that means the need has grown. So, obviously people are coming out because they're bringing their kids. We do hear the testimonies of the parents of how it's how it's helped them along through this summer as a place to get nutritional meals.
Along with nutritional meals, Rope Youth provides books to kids and has many mentorship opportunities. If you love teaching and want to be paid more than the minimum in the state of Texas, Fort Stockton ISD may be the place for you. Dr. Gabriel Zamora has invented a system that allows teachers in subjects like mathematics, science, and English to earn up to $75,000 a year. Dr. Zamora says this is a move to incentivize those teachers that are in non-STAR tested areas to get certified in those subjects. He says teachers from other parts of Texas and other states have made the journey to work in Fort Stockton. After the first year of this new system, Dr. Zamora says it's worked out better than he expected.
It solved our problem, but more than that, I believe that it can help solve the state's problems, because when teachers who left, educators who left the profession, see that it's possible to make this type of money and while working for a pension, I believe that some of them will come back to education.
Dr. Zamora says they are using the same amount of money that's available to other school districts. However, they are putting it in the areas they feel are more important. This has solved their recruiting issues and could also benefit the future students that want to work in education. According to a letter sent to members of VFW Post 4372 in Odessa, operations at the post are suspended for up to 90 days due to violations of the laws and usage of the organization. The letter read that state inspectors will now supervise all activities of the post and ensure compliance with bylaws, rules, and regulations. The letter highlights the improper handling of funds by the post's previous management. While suspended, the post cannot hold any meetings that don't regard its penalties. We reached out to the state office for VFW and no one was available to talk with us because they are attending the National VFW Convention in Phoenix, Arizona. For more details on this suspension, you can visit our website at CBS7.com. We have an update for you now. The Greater Gardendale Water Supply Corporation has announced that the boil water notice has been rescinded. You'll remember on Sunday, the boil order was put in place after a water leak off FM 1788. Gardendale officials reiterate that the water is now safe for consumption without having to boil it first. Now for a look at today's top headlines shown here in real time with real viewers on CBS7.com. See all these stories and more by downloading our app or visiting our website at CBS7.com. And still ahead, supply and demand for the cotton industry is growing. We'll tell you what that means for you and our news across Texas coming up on CBS 7 News at 9. It's looking to be a good year for cotton. Patricia Perry with our sister station KCBD in Lubbock spoke with an industry expert and has more.
In 2022, the market demanded a lot of cotton. In the United States, that meant nearly 14 million acres was planted. The CEO of Plains Cotton Growers, Cody Besant, says there were nearly 5 million acres in the 42 counties from New Mexico to Motley County and from the Oklahoma border down to Midland. Most of it didn't make it past the ground.
Due to Mother Nature, we had a lot of acres that were never taken to harvest.
Looking at this chart, you can see there's not as much cotton in the ground across the U.S. in 2023. That's also the case closer to the hub city.
We're estimating anywhere from 3.2 to 3.5 million acres within our service area.
Besant says drought conditions are in better shape this year, so farmers should be able to get a better yield.
It's still yet to be determined, but we're certainly better off to the races right now than where we were last year.
Meaning more jobs in gins and warehouses will be available.
We'll be able to hire a lot more seasonal-based employment because of the influx and what the necessary demands are placed upon them to move that crop from its origination point to overseas markets.
Adding more money flowing through the economy.
We can spend more on going out and eating at local businesses, restaurants, or spending more disposable income at the grocery store and not having as big of a tight demand that we've seen in the last couple of years.
Besant says it all depends on a good weather pattern to keep that cotton in good shape. Patricia Perry, KCBD News Channel 11.
Continuing news from across Texas, there is more disagreement on the disappearance and death of Haley Dunn. In a Zoom call yesterday, private investigator Eric Morse said she and Haley's father, Clint, still believe Sean Atkins is a prime suspect. Nearly a month ago, prosecutors dropped all of the charges against him, saying they needed more time to gather evidence. Adkins can be charged again, but Moore says disorganization has plagued this case from the beginning.
The Colorado City Police Department was never prepared for a 13-year-old tender-age child to go missing under these circumstances.
Despite Adkins' release, Moore says they are not giving up. They've reached out to several forensic anthropologists about retesting crucial evidence, and Clint Dunn has even gone back to school to study forensics.
Well, back here across the Permian Basin, we saw temperatures today reach the century mark once again. But there may be a change with that. We'll talk about that. Early look at the weekend, too, is coming up next.
Now, from the CBS7 First Alert Weather Center, here's Chief Meteorologist Tom Tiefertiller.
Well, we are going to be looking at a little bit of a change in temperatures. Not a lot, but a little bit of a change in temperatures because we saw triple digits today. We've cooled off into the lower 90s, so it has been a warm day and a warm evening out there. A little cooler down in the mountain areas and still hanging on to triple digits down towards Terlingua. It's all because of this big area of high pressure up across the Four Corners area into Colorado and New Mexico. We're not seeing a lot of change in that, but it is going to start to weaken a little bit. And as that happens, well, we are going to be looking at some temperatures just slightly milder in comparison to what we've been dealing with. So long story short, we're going to get rid of the triple digits, but still be in the mid to upper 90s. Now, we do have some thunderstorms forming up across the portions of the eastern Rockies and eastern Colorado. Well, we could see some of that high cloudiness move down on this north to south flow in the upper levels of the atmosphere, so we'll definitely be watching for that, but that's really going to be about it in the skies. It made for a nice sunset out there, but we are seeing relatively quiet conditions across the state. It was hot today. Dallas up to 104 degrees, triple digits in Austin. San Antonio along the Rio Grande, we saw hot temperatures, and we reached the century mark once again out at the Midland National Air and Spaceport. But it looks like high pressure again starting to weaken a little bit. Now, it's not going to do too much for us in the way of rain chances, as we'll just have some mid to high level cloudiness stream across, more high clouds than anything else, and they're going to be relatively thin in towards tomorrow. So for the rest of tonight, we're going to try to cool off a little bit down into the mid 70s on the overnight low. around 100 tomorrow, but overall the trend here over the next few days on your CBS 7 First Alert exclusive 10-day forecast is temperatures dipping below 100. It's still going to be hot. It's still going to be summer out there, but overall we're seeing kind of a little bit of a downward trend in our forecast on these temperatures all the way through the weekend and into next week. Unfortunately, this change is not going to bring us any rain anytime soon.
President Biden announced new rules today, which the White House says will expand the number of mental health providers who accept insurance. Why experts say it's a step in the right direction. Next on CBS 7 News at 9. Federal law already requires insurance companies to provide equal access to medical and mental health benefits. But the Biden administration says restrictive insurance policies make it hard for people to get the mental health coverage they may need. So today, President Biden announced new rules designed to make sure insurance companies are complying with the law while also expanding the number of health care providers. Skylar Henry has more details from the White House.
President Biden says insurance carriers need to do more to provide mental health coverage.
For all those brave enough and strong enough to seek help, and I mean that, brave enough and strong enough to seek help, we have to do better.
Biden and many advocates say insurance policies restrict patient access to the care they need.
In 2020, less than half of all adults with mental illness diagnosis receive care for it. Less than half. For children, the number's even worse.
He announced new rules which would require insurers to study whether their plans are following the law and make changes where necessary. They're meant to end restrictive policies such as prior authorization requirements and smaller networks of providers, which limit patients' abilities to seek help.
People with insurance are twice as likely to have to go out of network for mental health care compared to physical health care.
The pandemic itself was a national stressor.
The American Psychological Association says in the months following the pandemic, demands for more mental health services are up.
So then the ripple effect of something like that, does that then require or call for more mental health professionals?
We really need to look at how mental health care is delivered, period. We need to have access to specialty care when people's symptoms and struggles overwhelm their capacity to cope. We also need to figure out mechanisms to get care to individuals before they get to the breaking point. And we don't really have a good system for that either.
But experts say the administration's push is a step in the right direction. Skyler Henry, CBS News, the White House.
The new rules won't take effect for at least 60 days while the public weighs in on them. Still ahead, a surfboard stealing otter is boosting sales for a California coffee shop. We'll tell you how when we come back. A surfboard biting sea otter is captivating people and drawing crowds to a Santa Cruz coffee shop. They call him Otter 841, and he's outsmarting California authorities trying to catch her. And yes, they have tried to lure the otter away using a surfboard, but it didn't work. And now tourists from all over the country have gathered to see the otter, and all those tourists drink coffee, making this weekend the busiest ever for Shrine Coffee Shop. So if you're looking for coffee and a show, head on down to Santa Cruz for a tasty cup of coffee and a sneaky otter. I'm shocked, Tom, they haven't been able to catch this otter yet.
No, and I guess it's still on the loose and kind of taunting them a little bit, I guess, by not being able to be caught there. So,
well, at least it's doing some good for a local coffee shop and giving people a fun experience.
Now it's a tourist attraction. So again, and that otter's smart. That's the place to be, in the water right now, because they're dealing with heat not only here in West Texas, but also across the southwest U.S. as that high pressure extends from California all the way into the south central U.S. and it's keeping things hot. We'll probably see another day of triple digits tomorrow before temperatures dip below triple digits. Upper 90s on the way for the weekend, so a hint of improvement, but again, it's still going to stay hot, and we'll see a little better improvement coming up next week. But overall, what we need is rain, clouds, and about 80-something degrees in our forecast before we call for big improvements out there.
If only we had an ocean to jump into like that otter.
That's right. As hot as it is, I might buy a surfboard, okay?
I know. All right. Well, thanks for watching CBS 7 First Alert News at 9 CW. We have more news coming up tonight on CBS 7 News at 10.